Hey, what's up guys? Drew here over at RevHiker Outdoors with another episode of Knife Thursday. And I'm going to be doing a multi-part series on my knife collection, and today we're going to hit up fixed blades. So stick around. Okay guys, so let me just jump right into this. I don't want to make this a really long video, and I already decided to split this up into pieces so I could not make it really long. So I'm going to try to keep this relatively short and still get through my stuff. So with that being said, let me just start. There's a couple that aren't pictured. I know I've got them kicking around. You know, one is like a knife that I made somewhere, and another is, you know, whatever. This is the mostly complete list of my fixed blades. So I'm going to start out with some oddballs, and then I'm going to go into some categories of my fixed blades. So first oddball, and the one that I want to get out of the way, is this Smith & Wesson Bullseye. Okay, not a bad knife or anything. It's not like it's terrible. It's just, you know, I bought this several years ago, more than several years ago now, just kind of as a beater knife. I thought it would be good for maybe hunting and stuff because of the shape, and it just turned out to be just absolute trash steel that didn't hold an edge for anything. So I left it in a sheath, got moldy, got nasty because the sheath was wet or something. It was a nylon sheath, and I'm not even sure where it is now, but this is basically just an absolute beater for the garage. So Smith & Wesson Bullseye, everyone's got to have a beater. Next oddball, I'll do this one next. This is a knife that I made. I made this out of a file. I did not anneal it. I didn't heat it up first, so I cold ground this. I did this all on a stone, on a, you know, like a bench grinder, not sandpaper belts, just a, you know, the round stone there. So the grind lines certainly aren't perfect. They're not pretty. And I did this 1 or 2 slow passes at a time, then dipped it so it never got too hot to touch, so I didn't lose any of the hardness on the file. So micarta scales, file for a blade, a little Nicholson file I used. It's very comfortable in hand, not for all grips because I left these really wide. I know a lot of knife makers don't do that, but for this grip here, which is what I most use it in, super comfortable. And this thing holds an edge probably better than any of the knives I have because this is designed, this was a metal file, so it's super hard. You know, this would be more likely to snap or chip if you were prying or hitting something hard, but the other side of that is that your edge retention is ridiculous when you just use it on deer or, you know, other softer materials like that, which is what I made this for. Next oddball, we'll go with a little custom knife. This is a little oddball thing. Oddball for me because it's kind of too small for me. This was made by 323 Knives, and I think it stood for Colossians 3:23. It's a Bible verse. Really cool little knife, but a bit small. It's smaller than I thought it was. I saw the pictures and it looked bigger somehow. A little bit of jimping up here. You can see he left the forging scale on there, which really gives a lot of character, but just a little small for me. The sheath is really nice. It's set up for like a scout carry, horizontal carry, appendix carry, whatever you want. Got a loop for a ferro rod, and everything about it was good. It just, I don't think the heat treat was all that amazing. The edge retention isn't great for 01 tool steel. So again, the guy he doesn't make knives anymore. I don't think he did it for very long. He was a younger guy. But I still like the knife, but if it's a bit of an oddball, doesn't get much use. I just I have it because I like it. So there you go. This is the other custom knife that I've got. This is a Blackrock knives. I don't know the model of it. This was a gift. This Blackrock still makes knives. He makes incredible stuff. Check him out on Instagram, and that's Black ROC for the rock. But I just really like this blade. It's just really cool looking. I love, you know, just the texture on this thing. It's super beefy and thick, yet it's thin behind the edge, thin enough behind the edge because of the grind on there. Just, you know, this cool swedge, false edge at the top. Beautiful knife. And, you know, kind of maybe a little bit of a tactical feel or something. I'm not very much of a tactical guy, but this is a really cool knife, and it was an amazing gift, and I would never get rid of it. I have EDC'd this. This tech lock makes it very easy to carry on your belt in the front, and little Kydex sheath is well made. I really like everything about this knife. It's kind of one of those cool things that I just, you know, it doesn't have a whole lot of practical use, say out in the woods where I use my knives mostly, but it's a great knife and I really enjoy EDCing it, and cool conversation piece as well. So really like this knife, and I appreciate Kyle for this awesome gift. Next one, well, let's go with kind of like the last oddball. This is a spoon knife. If you guys do any carving or bushcraft, you probably know what these look like. I think this is the Mora 162 spoon knife, double-sided. Like it a lot. It's very good, very comfortable, holds an edge very well. This is high carbon steel. I have another Mora carving knife that we'll get to in a little while, but I really like this one, and it's kind of an oddball. I don't, you know, some people might say, well, it's not really a knife. Well, yeah, it is. It's just a knife with a very specific use. It's not like a general purpose type thing. And I'm having a bit of a hard time wrapping this up. I hate doing stuff on camera, and you guys force me to do it all the time. Next one, we'll go with kind of like the last oddball-y fixed blade that I've got, and that's this. This is an Auntyvara Puukko. This is made by one guy in Finland. He makes all the knives, and I think it's one or two if I remember correctly. Beautiful knife. I just think this thing is gorgeous. Hope the camera focuses on this. Beautiful, beautiful knife. Really love the lines. Love the birch burl scales, handle really, because this is a rat tail tang. Just beautiful. Finished with boiled linseed oil. You know, it's very, very pretty knife. And this has been the sharpest out of the box knife that I've ever had. This thing is just an absolute slicer. I mean, it digs in hard too. When you're carving wood, it just takes massive chunks. It actually takes some control to do feather sticks, because this thing just wants to bite. So you have to be careful on your pressure. Once you get used to it, it makes beautiful feathers. But if you're used to other knives, this thing will bite so much harder and just try to dig in so deep that it surprises you. Love the sheath on this. This is made in Finland. This was another gift from a subscriber, and just a beautiful one at that. I'm just very, very pleased with this. Love this little brass ring that wraps around to the seam on the leather, and this little dangler sheath. Beautiful knife, very youthful. You know, this is a bushcraft knife with an emphasis on the craft. For crafting, for making traps, for carving, for doing that kind of stuff, this thing is nearly unbeatable. Fire making, stuff like that. I'm not going to use this for batoning. I shy away from batoning really with any of my knives unless it's like an absolute necessity, because generally if I'm bushcrafting, I have an axe with me. Let's see. Oh, you know what? One more oddball. And some of you might laugh at this. This is my Bear Grylls parang. This was a gift from my dad for like Christmas one year, and I kind of like, you know, like you roll your eyes like, oh geez, it's Bear Grylls, you know. But you know, it was my dad, so I was like, Dad, I love it, you know. And then I got out and I started using the thing, and I actually loved it. It's really good. This thing is amazing at clearing brush. I actually chopped down this dead pine tree that was probably like 7 inches in diameter. This thing is 1055 high carbon steel. It's got some serious chunks and divots in the blade, and that is because as I was clearing brush, I whacked a couple big rocks and a piece of rebar in my backyard. I don't know where the rebar came from. Like I said, this was 1055, got some flex to it, so it sharpens up really easily, and it takes a nice edge. And I stripped the coating off of it and did this like forced mustard patina, the tiger stripe there, and I really like this thing. Super, super comfortable in hand, and you can kind of, you know, you can choke up with this forward choil here. You can even, I mean, you can't, this makes it a little less comfortable. I almost thought about taking that off, but you can get up here if you really need to and do some fine stuff, but this really hinders that. But very comfortable, especially to swing and a chop, and it's weighted nicely. I like it a lot. It's not necessarily a knife that you use a lot, but when you need something like this, it really does a good job, and I was pretty happy with it. So, Bear Grylls, one thing he did good. Okay, let's see. Let's go here. Start a little bit smaller. This is my Lone Wolf Mountain Skinner, it's called, or Steep Country Skinner, something like that. This was made by Benchmade. Lone Wolf Knives was its own company, American company. Benchmade bought them out, and this was produced after Benchmade bought them out. So this is the same N680 steel that Benchmade has used on many of their knives. Very rust resistant and holds an edge pretty well. I would compare this to like 154 CM, something of that nature. Very comfortable. This jimping is perfect. It's not so aggressive where it bites you, but it provides a lot of grip. Just the way this is shaped, very good for game processing, skinning. I've skinned several deer with this, and it's performed very well. Very impressed with it. Like it a lot. The sheath is okay. It's not, and the reason I like the sheath, and it's good and it's functional, but the retention isn't that great. I would have to like wet this, soak it pretty good, and kind of press it flat to kind of reform it, I think, to make it a bit stiffer, because as it sits right now, it's not tight enough. I wouldn't trust it to be on my belt. It would have to sit in a pack. But great knife, serves a purpose. Next, let's get into my Mora knives. I've got aside from the spoon knife, I've got the Mora Craftline Q or 511 or whatever this is, cheapest one they make. Nice little finger guard, great for teaching my kids. Nice small blade. You can see this one's rusted and beat up and whipped, and comes with like the most ugly basic sheath in the world, but this thing is super functional. I broke the tip off trying to pry something one time, but just a great little thin knife, super cheap, quite comfortable in hand for just being like an ugly hard plastic handle, and great at carving. Great. I mean, I use this in the kitchen a lot. Yeah, I know it's rusty, but deal with it. I do use this in the kitchen and for just hacking through some stuff or frozen stuff where I don't think other knives will take it. The thin kitchen knives, this thing gets the job done. Like that. Can't go wrong with a Mora. Next Mora is what they would call, I think this is like the number 2 because of the length of the blade, but this is one of the older ones. This was a gift. This is one of the KJ Ericsson ones, okay? This is the Mora KJ Ericsson version. Pretty cool. It's older. I really like it. Again, this one really doesn't get used because this is really more for my daughter. But again, it's in the collection. Next Mora is my, nice tight retention there. This is my 120. This is a little carving knife. Beautiful knife for carving. This little blade is, you're like, oh, that's kind of diminutive. This is laminated, by the way. I love this thing. This thing takes off more meat off of a piece of wood than all of my other big knives. It's amazing what this thing will do. It just absolutely shreds wood off of anything that you're carving, and holds an edge very well, and with this tiny sharp tip, it's great for detail work. So really never have to worry about this thing. Really enjoy this. If you're into carving, I highly recommend it. It's quite cheap and quite worth it. Next is a Mora Companion. This is the first Mora that I ever got. I'll never get rid of it. This thing is an absolute beast. It has been through heck and back. I've loaned it to people and they let it rust up, and I cleaned it and I fixed it, and this thing has just done everything. I learned a lot of different things, bushcrafting techniques with this knife. Really love this. Best bang for the buck in the world as far as knives go. Can't beat it. Mora Companion standard, not the HD. I had an HD, I liked it, but I gave it away. I also have the Mora Bushcraft, obviously the Bushcraft Orange. I wanted to try their stainless out, so that's why I got this. And I was really happy with it. The spine is stupid sharp, throws sparks amazingly, holds an edge quite well, you know, for Mora and really for any knife. I was surprised with it. I like the swivel on the sheath, and this is really great for hunting. I throw this in my pack all the time for hunting because the high vis is awesome. If you guys have ever you know, processed big game in the field, you know that if you have to set your knife down to do something and it's not on your, you know, sometimes it's inconvenient to try to put it back in the sheath on your side, so a lot of times I end up just setting it down. This makes it really easy to find and really hard to lose, which is great. And again, very reasonable price on the Moras. Highly recommend this knife. I love it. Next, let's do my Condors, some more budget knives. This is the Joe Flowers designed Swamp Romper, and I've recently done some videos on this, so you guys know all about this. Quite good. I'm quite happy with it. It's a good knife for doing finer tasks. The thinness of it kind of precludes it from some of the traditional bushcraft tasks of maybe batoning, which again I really don't do much of. So this is good for more of the crafting and that type of stuff. So I really like the knife for that. Quite comfortable, a little bit blocky if you're going to be carving a lot, or if you're going to do really hard carving. I did work up one day after about an hour a blister kind of under one of my calluses, or just behind my callus. So, you know, it's good but not perfect, you know. But the good thing is it's relatively inexpensive, and this is not that hard since it's just walnut to just sand this down and make it fit you perfectly. Great retention on this sheath. Love the fact that it's a dangler. I'm gonna fix that. There we go. And a spot for a ferro rod. Has to be a pretty thin one. This thing's pretty tight. So there's that. And my other Condor is my Nessman, and I love the looks of this knife. This is, in my mind, a great looking knife. Really like it. Very comfortable, more comfortable than the Swamp Romper. Great spot for your thumb, for carving and stuff like that. Really good knife in the kitchen too. I enjoy this thing, using this for, you know, kitchen EDC stuff. I made this a dangler with a little key ring and a nylon paracord bracelet there. That worked well. And that's that. I mean, again, this is not an in-depth thing for all these. Second to last is my Falkneven S1. I love this knife. It just feels good, got a lot of blade. I butchered a deer with it this year. Very good, you know, the length really makes it nice for cutting some of the larger steaks on the rear. And I really like this knife. I love the grip. I have carved and whittled with this for like 2 hours straight with no hot spots, no blisters. Really comfortable. The nice wide spine really makes for, if you're into batoning and you like that type of work and you do that with your knife, great for that. The swedge makes it a little thin, so it chews up your baton a bit, but great knife. Don't have to worry about it breaking. I did break just the very tip of this off at one point. I'm almost embarrassed to say it. I tried to stab through a TV screen with it, and so I broke the very tip off. And I will see if I don't know if I still have that footage. I think my brother taped it on his phone. If I can get it, I'll roll it in, because it's just something that needs to be seen. But I didn't like the sheath that came with it, so I've got it in a Condor sheath from a Swamp Romper that I returned that had an issue, and they told me just keep the sheath. So it fits perfectly in the Swamp Romper, has amazing retention, and I really like it. So I just throw it in there because the other one was a bit rattly and I just didn't like it. I have saved my current favorite fixed blade for last, and that is my SE3. This started life as an SE3S, the serrated version. I did a review on it, if you guys remember. And with my Wicked Edge, I fixed the serrations. And by fixed, I mean took them away. So now this is nice plain edge, super sharp, got a nice little mirror edge on there. I've since put a convex edge on it because the 1095 is not what I'm used to. I'm used to like more super steels, stainless super steels that hold an edge better. And I find that a convex edge gets better edge retention for these softer 1095s. Very easy to field sharpen, and with this Rowan heat treat, it holds an edge better than a lot of 1095, but I think the convex gets the most out of this steel. You guys know I love this thing, really comfortable. I've field dressed 2 deer and skinned 1 with it this year alone in the last few weeks, and it has just been great. Love this thing. Love it, love it, love it. I EDC it all the time. Fits great in the pocket with the way this sheath is. Very happy with this thing, very happy, and I'm looking to get some more Essies because they're just outstanding quality. I miss my, I had the Azula 2 and I missed that, and so I want to replace that, and I'm looking at either like an SE4 or an SE6, I'm not sure. But anyway, love this knife. This is kind of like, at the moment, this is my favorite for, it's the one that's getting the most use, I'll put it that way. I love all these knives for different purposes, but right now this is probably my number one. So anyway guys, thanks for watching. If you did enjoy this video, please don't forget to thumbs up and subscribe, and stay tuned because next week I'm going to do another category of my collection, and we'll go from there. So anyway guys, thanks for watching as always. God bless you guys, and I will catch you next time.